likely to run out. So yeah, to your point, we're going to have to restart at some point, but we need to prepare ourselves for that restart.
Hi guys, my name is Matthew Rose and I am the host of the Likeminds podcast and CEO of Likeminds Tribe. Today we have a show series called Likeminds IG Live Series, and we speak to various entrepreneurs in different sectors on how they're managing their businesses and brands through this epidemic. So today we chat to influencer and digital strategist Theodorah Manjo, and the topic of today will be the state of digital, which I think would be pretty interesting. Enjoy. We're live again. Very ecstatic for this. I missed being live, talking to interesting individuals. Just been taking some time off just to restructure, look at the way I've been doing things. And yeah, but I have a good talk with Theodorah Manjo, and it's about to be good. Okay, she just sent a request. All right. Let's wait. May the gods of connection be with us. Oh, hey.
Hey, I can't see myself, so I don't know if it's working.
I can see you.
Okay. Well, I hope my connection stays stable.
You seem pretty stable right now. Can you see me though?
Yes, I can see you.
Okay, awesome. Well, we're off to a good start. So, how have you been? How have you been?
I've been fine, eh? I've been all right. We're here.
And how are you dealing with the whole situation, COVID and everything?
I think in the beginning it was difficult. It was very difficult. I won't lie. But I think I've just got into the groove of things now. There's nothing much we can do at this point. So I've just had to just deal with it, actually. But yeah, it's 50-50 at this point. How about you?
Well, I could say much of the same. That's why we took a break of doing the live sessions, I think, for the past 2 weeks, is because we've been just trying to look at, how can we change our ways of doing things and kind of optimize, so things have been different. I wouldn't say completely bad because we in the digital space and we're the least affected compared to other industries. So things have been a bit challenging in terms of what our plans are or strategies. But other than that, we've been able to function pretty well. I'd say at 70% of our potential. So that's been good. It's also given us time to really just look at our platform and see how we can kind of drive value. So yeah, it's been chilled, but yeah, I really wanted to have this conversation with you in particular because I know last time when we had a conversation, it was pretty bomb and you had a lot to say, and I feel like you didn't kind of get the space to say as much as you wanted to say because you had other panelists on stage. But then towards the end, I was like, oh, okay, she knows quite a bit, and I was impressed. So since then, I've been thinking, how are we going to get you back on, and finally we're able to do that. So I'm stoked for that. Yeah. So just for everybody who's on the live, thanks for joining. Shout out for joining. Shout out to Andrew. I see he's joined us. Jew Black. The conversation will be around the state of digital, right? But we're not going to go into other industries. We're just going to speak about, our fields, digital marketing per se, yeah? And we can kind of just speak about the state of digital currently, and then we can, move into the how to. Remember when I told you, when I briefed you about the conversation, I didn't want us to just have a COVID conversation, but I wanted us to have a conversation that will be relevant at least, 3 months from now. So let's add some we'll add like a
Yeah.
how-to into it. You told me you were able to jot down some things, so I think that
Yeah.
will be interesting to see like where you coming from on that. So without further ado, I think we can do a little intro. I think you can introduce yourself and yeah, make your presence known.
Okay, well, I'm Theo. I'm a digital strategist for brands. And yeah, I was kind of reluctant when you asked me to do the live. I was like, oh, no, not another one. But I've just been thinking about it, and I know that you said that you just want to focus on digital marketing, and I just think everybody seems to have a lot to say about digital marketing and what to do and what not to do, and there's nothing really new to it. But we need to remember that behind all the digital marketing is actually small businesses. So
Yeah.
I wanted to take basically the talk around that. So some of the things that I actually took time to think about during the past couple of days is, as a small business, as much as you want to be online and or maybe you're going offline, there are other things you should be doing in the meanwhile. There's something I
Okay.
read a few years ago that this is a time break that we're never going to get again.
Mm.
So all the time I don't have time to do admin, I don't have time to check accounts, I don't have time to learn Excel. You've had a month already, right? So some of
Yeah.
the things that I jotted down was stay present. Some people think because I can't sell anything, I can't do anything, I can't have any talks, I shouldn't be around. But the danger in that is people will forget you. And if
Mm.
you're going to keep quiet during this time, we don't know how long this time is going to be, but the time we get back to outside life, you've got other people and other brands overshadowing you. With all their comms and, oh, we're alive, we're here, we're doing this, we're doing that. And now you, as a smaller business, you get drowned in that. And something that we need to keep thinking and learning is the algorithms of all these platforms. Instagram, for instance, has a crappy platform, a crappy algorithm where only a
Mm.
percentage of your followers will actually see your stuff unless you're
Mm.
active all the time. It's difficult. What do you post every day? Sometimes maybe it's a business you can't really post pictures all the time, but this is a time for you to get to know your followers. I
Okay.
think this is follow back sometimes, engage in conversations. And something that I've seen a lot of businesses do is they're hosting these live talks, but they're getting people, they're teaching people about their business. We want to support local, we want to support our friends and families, but how do you support something I don't know? And I think this is a
Mm.
perfect time to start being active. Maybe you're not a video person, that's cool, but have comms out, have chats. Do you guys know what I do? Do you know what the difference is between A and B? Engage in conversation, and that way I'm like, oh, okay, snap, I know what the difference is between 1 and 2. One thing that I was thinking about, like digitally we think, oh, it's just digital, the work I do and everything like that, but we also need to work on ourselves.
Okay.
Presentation, how to present ourselves. We can do a bomb-ass marketing strategy or a business strategy, but as soon as I'm saying, okay, what do? You freeze. Are we
Yeah.
learning how to present ourselves in that case? And, we've got data problems, we've got this problems, but half of us are sleeping after midnight anyway. Like our sleeping patterns are off the charts at this moment. But those are the types of things. Go on to YouTube and download those things so you can watch them during the day. How do I present myself in front of people? How do I do a bomb-ass presentation? How do I use PowerPoint? How do I use Excel? It's the small things that are going to help your business go forward. How do I market on Instagram? How do I market on Twitter? How do I market on Facebook? One of the things that we do is we start a business and then we're like, I need to be on every platform there is. We start and we've got a Facebook page, a Twitter page, an Instagram page, and whatever else you may have, but we don't know how to maintain it. And we can't
Mm.
think that a one size fits all strategy is going to work. What works on Twitter is not going to work on Instagram, it's not going to work on Facebook. And we
True.
need to know what is going to work, what is not going to work. But that's not going to come to you unless you try to do some digging, you try to do some learning. There's so many things that people say that there's studying you can do for free. I hate that because people think that we're just sitting. We're not just sitting. There are people
Mm.
that are still working sometimes you get put in this predicament, you're not getting an income, you don't know what to do. Like you literally freeze. I think we've all been to a couple of days where you're just like, I'm numb. Actually, I don't know what to do. I don't know where to from here. But you just need to get off into some type of routine. What happens if this COVID stays until December?
Yeah.
We can't voice to a year,
Yeah.
So from that stay present, do your admin. So all the stuff that you've been meaning to do, wanting to do, do it. If you have a business but you haven't registered it, start doing it. Figure out how to do it, how to register a name, all the small things that are going to make it work for you at the end. Get books into order. You don't need an accountant to do that. If you can count money, you've got an Excel worksheet, put it there, figure out the things, a plus and a minus and an equals. Something is going to work. You just got to start somewhere and then build it. But you can't get to a point September of this year and say, oh, I don't know the difference between a profit and a loss and breaking even. I don't know if I'm actually thriving in my business. What does thriving mean in your business? I think we need to do some reality check. I start a business because it's a great idea. I love it. Everyone's pumped. We're all going to be pumped for you. But after 3 months, are we still pumped? Are you still pumped? And if you're at that point in your business journey where it's not as exciting as it was in the beginning, this is the time to reflect. Why? What changed? If I started my business last year in April, we're in April. Do a chart. I'm a big fan of pen and paper. Do a chart and do your 3 months and say, I had a peak in September, had a dip in December, another peak in Feb, but then it went slowly. Let's look at those things in our businesses. It doesn't matter what business you have. You can be a motivational speaker. You can be selling socks. You can be a social media, freelancer. You can be a web designer, whatever it is. There's something that you were doing in your journey that peaked at some point and then went down. You need to start identifying those things. So the so what after it kind of needs to make sense after it. So like you've had 2 months now of silence.
Yeah.
You're pushing stuff on digital, you're pushing stuff, but nothing's coming back. So what are we doing wrong? What was working when things were working? Was it referrals? Was I talking more to people? Was I engaging with people outside more? Like, what did I do? Did I put money behind SEO? Did I put money behind Facebook posts? You can't just spray and pray. And I think that's something we need to be realistic about. Pull out the books and make your numbers 1 to 10. What's going right? What's not going right? And where can I change it from here? And check your finances. Digital strategies do cost money. So at one point you're going to have to promote something so that more people can see it. What does promote mean? There are the things that we may assume that is common knowledge isn't common knowledge for everybody. Some people are new onto Instagram. Some people only joined Instagram this past week or this past month. So there's small things that you're going to be listening to and hearing, and you need to educate yourself. And there's platforms like this where you can be listening and trying to pull out and reach out to people. There is nothing wrong with asking. What's the worst that could happen? Person will say no, or they won't answer you. But ask. Eventually somebody will answer you. Somebody will reach out and somebody will help. But we need to understand what a digital media strategy is for me as a business or as an influencer or whatever the case is. Even if you are an influencer, you're a business at your own business. But you need to start understanding, what do I want from this? If I'm going to put 2,000 Rand in marketing, what does that look like? If I'm going to put 2,000 Rand in buying clothes and asking Matthew to model them for me, what does that mean? You may get like 700 likes, but did 700 likes equate to at least 3 sales? So we need to start a bit more strategic in what we're putting out. And we need to start thinking, okay, if COVID had to end on the 1st of May by some miracle, what does it look like? Are we stuck at, oh snap, I wasn't planning. I wasn't, okay, so what do I do now? Who do I speak to? You should be talking to people now. Like, this is my business. It's winter now. I knit jerseys. How do we integrate this? Because we might not be able to get out in winter. How do we integrate this in summer? Speak to people who will help you get to the next stage. Yeah. We can't point where we're free and we're back to doing business. And okay, but what now?
Okay.
Um, yeah,
Uh, y- yeah, I like that you're so passionate about that. You really took it by the reins, and I'm glad because then we can really have an honest conversation on not I guess not only just digital strategy, but just business strategy or personal strategy of like how are you going to stay relevant or continue building. I'd like to think that from what you said, the biggest message is that you know what, now that we've had like some kind of silence, it's the one time where you can actually do the things that would otherwise cost you time and the market would kind of leave you behind. Now you can do it and still catch up to everybody. So that's the greatest thing about this time. So whether it is you are improving on skills and you use 2 weeks of time, it's not lost because everybody is kind of at the same position. But there's this quote that I've been saying quite a bit. It will really speak to the end game of this particular point we've been making. The businesses that survive this time, or the people that survive this COVID pandemic, would be tasked with rebuilding the future, right? So, what do you think of that?
that's very interesting. It's like it's a hard stop. Like life has
Yeah.
had a hard stop, and we're gonna have to pick up the pieces somewhere. And I think we all have a decision of we're either gonna pick up from where we left off, and we're frazzled and stressed, and 2020 is
Mm.
not working out, or we can be like, actually, let me just start over, clean
Yeah.
slate. What does this look like for me and my peers and the people in my industry, people in my group, people in my family, friends, whatever the case is? And as much as not everybody's a business person, and I'm very vocal about that. A lot of people push entrepreneurship and stuff like this. Sometimes you know your capabilities and you know what you can do, what you can't do, and it's okay if you don't have an entrepreneurial spirit. But
Yeah.
what are you doing for you as a person? Like I said, there are so many things that we can be learning at this point. It doesn't have to be boring tutorials. It can be watching shows that teach you something different. Learning how to do makeup. You don't have to be a makeup artist to know how to do that, but I want to look better when I get to work. How do I do my eyebrows? How do I do this? Or how do I do waves for my hair because I want to look trendy for guys? Like small things that
Mm.
may seem silly, but it's a personality up. It's a self-esteem up. It's that one thing that you can, when life gets back to normal again, I can do this better. And I just want us to get into a space where we're trying. We're trying. And just going back to that, I don't have time to. Now we also have some money saved. Are we
Mm.
learning how to play with money? I think anyone can be, well, not anyone, but Andrew can be testament to how much I've learned about money,
Mm.
saving, and the amount of money that I use on transport or petrol or whatever the case is, it's being saved. But is it being saved while you're recklessly spending it on sweets and chips and snacks and stuff because you're feeling sorry for
Yeah.
yourself? It's the small things. It's habitual changes. And I think a lot of brands and companies talk about how consumers are going to be consuming ads and just things on the internet differently. It's going to go back to our lifestyles. Has your lifestyle changed at all? Or are you still the same
Mm.
person? You're just for the gates to open for you to run out. So yeah, to your point, we're going to have to restart at some point, but we need to prepare ourselves for that restart. It's
Yeah.
it's always like a birthday thing. Like I always taper off and I'm like, okay, at this age, I want to be better at. But I need to start doing improvements for me when I hit that birthday mark. I'm ready to be better at. So I think this is
Mm.
our time to start getting ready. We need to get ready for whatever's on the other side. We don't know what's on the other side. We might think things are going to get better, things are going to get worse, but we don't really know. But we just need to start getting comfortable where we are, but start looking ahead and seeing what does this look like after everything is done. Are we going to have to work online? What does this mean for people who actually have physical businesses, who need physical contact, that can't do business over the phone, over an Instagram live and stuff like that? So if that was your source of income, what's plan B?
Mm.
We
How
know
are
how
you
these
gonna pivot?
diseases and viruses, there wasn't. Hello?
No, I was saying, how are you going to pivot? I was
Yes,
concurring. Yes.
yes. So we also need to think of, okay, well, maybe sometimes some people's jobs have stopped. But what does this mean for me? What's my next step? You know, what happens if this year is a complete write-off? We can't write off a whole year. What have we done in this year? We just need to be ready to kick back, no matter when the time is. It can be next month, next week, next year, but we need to be preparing ourselves mentally and psychologically and physically, and in your business. Are you ready for whatever the next step is?
Yeah, true that. And we're going to need to be ready because, like you said, if you aren't in the forefront when all is said and done, you're going to be overshadowed by every other business that worked really hard in this time. And not just businesses, like you said, people as well, right? Experts of any kind, professionals. I think in this time, you need to really build yourself so that you can be relevant for the time that's coming, right? Because we don't know how we're going to operate. I think the biggest keyword for everybody right now is adaptability. What is, how great is our ability to adapt in these times? And like I was telling you in the beginning that, for us, Likeminds, the platform at least was mostly live, right? But we've had to transition into going digital, and it's going to make our live experiences a little bit more better because our audience is currently connecting with us. So any person that's part of this live, should they join or are they part of our network, it's just going to make it more easier. We've added the human element to our brand, which is like a tip for humanizing your brand is just being more active on video and stuff. But yeah, that's really that. Let's talk about where you're an influencer as well, right? So let's talk about influencer marketing, right? What I've heard a lot of influencers speak about this pre the full pre before lockdown was at its full capacity, right? And they spoke a lot about like what type of content would we be promoting, what kind of content would we be influencing, because most of us influencers lived via travel or via, you had to be outside basically to influence. And now we saw that, I don't know if you partook in that challenge, the pillow challenge, which I thought was pretty silly, but we have things like that. So what kind of, state is the influencer market in right now? Is it good? Is it bad? Where do you lie?
I think coming from a side where I'm working with brands, influencers are coming up quite a lot because brands are afraid to advertise. Because we got to be sensitive around this time. But if I've got Matthew saying how amazing my water bottle is, then it doesn't actually look like advertising. So for influencers, we need to be a bit more versatile. So if you're a travel influencer, how do you take what you know and turn it into something now? Maybe you're a person who likes to travel to beaches and seas and stuff. Is this something that you learned while you were there that you can start talking about now? How to make your own towel or something stupid like that. But there's something that you've learned along your journey that you can use now. Not only influencers should be like just giving up and thinking, ish, okay, we'll wait for the time we go outside so we can travel again. What have you learned when you were traveling that you can now do now? The nuggets. Don't go quiet. Talk to people, and maybe you can't put something that you did back then into something you can do now and make money off now. But you still need to keep talking to the audience, because when life goes back to normal, we're still looking at engagements. We're still looking at impressions and reach and stuff. So if you went from 20,000 people liking my stuff and 50,000 people viewing my videos to a complete half, you're not of any use. Now we can use the time to talk. Now I'm like, oh, okay, I know so-and-so. I know what they're about. If I have to now partner up or collaborate with one of my followers, I kind of know who to go to because I've developed that relationship. So I don't think influencers should just, feel like they're defeated at this point. You can do so much more. Now you can play outside and do something random. There are so many brands, and there are in the big names, there are small little verticals that you can target. Maybe it's taking a picture of you brushing your teeth. You're doing something with a tooth brand. With a tooth. It's trying new hairstyles. you're using something for your hair. Like it's the small things, like the things that we're doing every day. Like, oh, I'm so tired of watching TV. I'm gonna do a puzzle or something like that. There are so many other people that you can start targeting at this little time, and the money is there now because brands are afraid to advertise. So as much as they're going to push it to TV because they're assuming that we're watching TV and they're assuming we're watching more radio, their digital budgets are becoming a bit more free. But they don't want to be quiet. But they need a Matthew, they need a Theo to be saying something about their brands so that when we do switch on, it wasn't a complete silence. So we just need to be cognizant of that. And I always say, don't become a brand whore. If you loved certain something in your life, if you loved sneakers, carry on loving sneakers. You know, don't all of a sudden go all over the place because you're just trying to secure the bag. If you're really good at what you do, people are going to find you. But if you're trying too much, we see. It's like those people that enter too many competitions just because they want to win. We see that. So if you enter a competition, you're just like, nah, man, this name looks so familiar. All you got to do is do a Google search and you're going to come up on all the pages of all the competitions. Then I'm just like, nope, you're not winning. So be authentic. Build on your authenticity at this point. Clean up your feed. Clean up your blogs and your writing, and write more and do more. Do more on Twitter. Grow your audience, but have that relationship. It's all fine to have 100,000 followers, but if you only ever talk to 10 people, what influence do you really have? So yeah, I mean, influencers can use this time to actually start building themselves. By the time brands are coming to them, they're ready. They're just a matter of, who am I picking out of this bunch? But you've got to be ready for it. You've got to be talking to the brands already. As much as they may not see it, when they have all their analytics tools and things coming up, they've been mentioning Likeminds sessions. You're going to be like, oh, wait, I didn't realize this person was actually following me or listening to our IG lives. I want to connect with them. I want to see what they like about my company, about my brand. And that's very vital.
Definitely. I like something you said along the line of as an influencer, you have done something, and because you had, you've traveled or you've went to certain key places, you kind of have an understanding of what it's like already. So you can kind of document that process, and that could be content. So I think even as an influencer, I think it's a good time to pivot your content. So if you were video traveling, then you can just think of like, how can you use what you have done? Because an expert is someone who has done something very well and lived to tell the tale, right? And then you can explain that, and that could possibly be another stream of influence, because at the end of the day, it's just about influence. How do you influence? It's not based on one medium, right? It could be based on, whether you can write blogs now. It's just about translating your experience for what people follow you for, whatever the case is. So I think that's a good thing. Just a quick shout out to...
Sorry.
What's that?
I was just thinking of what you were saying now about the traveling industry. The tourism industry is dead quiet, but people would love to know what your journey was when you went on holiday. Then you can start talking about your journeys. Maybe have a week of what a Monday looked like in France. I don't know. But start taking people through their journey so that when the tourism do come back, then you're like, look, I've been posting content. I haven't been going anywhere, but I think my audience is ready to hear what you got to say through my eyes. So that's excellent for travelers and lifestyle bloggers, those who loved going out. It sucks now, but you've got archives. You've got pictures and pictures and pictures that you haven't posted. Post them with a story. We're all taking so much content right now.
I think, okay, let me just make a quick shout out. Shout out to everyone who's joined the live. There's people who have said some interesting things, and there are some questions. We can attend to that. Shout out to Nicolette. We've got a verified person in here. So, like I said, I actually forgot what I was trying to say now. Oh, yes, as an influencer right now, all the things that you have done, like, for example, the way you take pictures, now would be a good time to explain lighting. Like, how do you, you know what I mean? Different lighting techniques you have. So that is content. So it's constantly about just being on the ball and saying what you have done and how can you salvage that and have it create your experience. Because being an influencer is almost like being an expert at something, right? So you kind of have to still carry that out.
I love it. There was one of the posts I had made here. I said, be that guy, teach. So exactly with the whole thing, flat lays, what makes a
Yeah.
good flat? Um, what, I mean, just like the small thing, like photography, for instance, is top of my mind. Um, you can see people are posting up pictures and stuff like that, and you say, this is a good angle, this isn't a good angle because of the shadow, because of your double chin. Those are small things that we're going to take into consideration, but without giving away too much of your hard-earned work and things that you basically I don't want to say sell, but your proprietary, you can still help people during this process.
Yeah.
What's the stylists? The do's and don'ts of wearing pants and big shoes. You know, it's the small things. It's exactly that. Like the lighting. Um, Everyone's going on about Lightroom and Lightroom, but they're overusing it. What's a good use of Lightroom? What's the bad use of Lightroom? How to do a proper Instagram live. I mean, I had to do a test call like an hour before just to make sure that my lighting was okay. But it's the small things that we're all using. How can I say, people that write, what makes it
Yeah.
good? Is it the length? Is it the funny, not the funny, the humor? Should we add pictures in this? What makes, I don't know, there's so many things that that you know that I don't know, that you can teach me. There's things that I know that
Yeah.
you don't know. It doesn't have to be rocket science. It can be the small things. So it goes back to what we were saying, like diversitize what you're doing. If you are so used to speaking about yourself the whole time, maybe it's time that you flip the script and you start talking about organizations that have been doing well in the past month, or giving shout outs to people that have been doing well. But it becomes, I think this time, mostly more than anything, we've become more of, I don't know if you can hear me. It looks like I'm
Yeah,
a bit
I can.
lagging. Okay, cool. I think this has become a time where we're so people focused now. Like we genuinely care. So I think we can use that to our advantage. Like put posts up, like how's everyone doing? Let's have a conversation. It doesn't have to be a video. We can be tweeting each other or those question answer things on Instagram. You may not know the person personally, but sometimes people just need to know that, you know, we're all suffering. We're all not happy, or, you know, we're all having a down day, or whatever the case is. I think we can do good no matter what we do. And influencers should be advocating for good anyway. And if you were an influencer that wasn't advocating for good, then you're a troll. You're not an influencer. And those aren't
Yeah.
people that we need around.
But okay, I think the way I understood it, at least, it's in this manner that, say for example, said brand gave you a product to promote that was completely off brand, and you took the job anyway. So that would be rather creating content that fills up feeds versus doing actual justice to your brand or to your audience. So I think that's the way I understood it. And he's probably asking, like, how can you make sure that you're not, crossing that boundary?
You know, we're at a point now where people are so strapped for cash that they're going to take anything and try to make it work. But then that becomes a you problem. And then you have to make it work for brand. And so if you're going to take on something that you can't sell, you are doing a
Yeah.
disservice to your followers and to the brand. But if you're going to take on a job, make sure that you can do it damn well. You need to understand your audience. With Twitter, with Instagram, with Facebook, if you've got a page, you can see the algorithms. You can see when people are most live, when people are engaged in your content. What content are they engaged with? Are they engaged in your stories, or are they engaged on your posts? For example, if you're on Instagram, then you kind of know what you need to do. If people aren't caring much about your posts, but they're watching your videos, maybe you need to have a conversation with the brand that you're working with and say, look, I know you guys wanted 5 posts, but I've done 3 so far. They're not doing so well. But of the 4 videos I've done, we've done really well. Is there any way that I can change it up and still honor my contract? Like I said in a previous live session, brands aren't animals. They're looking to us to kind of guide them to go somewhere. If you know that my audience loves videos, they love skits, they love funny stuff, and brand is asking you to just do posts all over the show, have that conversation and say, look, this is how my audience takes in this type of content. This is how I can make it work for us. Where is the middle ground? Sometimes we do take on jobs and think that they're going to do really well, and they don't do well. But you need to be communicating. Don't wait till the end of the campaign and be like, I did what I had to do. I posted on a Monday, I posted on a Friday, and I said hello on a Sunday night. What were you doing to try and make this work? So as much as we're marketing vessels as well, like brands aren't going to push money into a platform knowing that it's not going to work. They're pushing it to you as a platform because they're hoping that the way that you speak to people and market their brand is going to work for them in a different way that they've been using something else. Have a conversation. When you're I said this, you're an influencer, you're a business. So it's like from one business going to another business to offer a service. I can do this, I can't do this. Be honest with that. If you have to fumble the bag, if they say, do that and be true to you and your audience. There's nothing more irritating than following someone whose content you absolutely loved and they start posting rubbish and constantly just because they're trying to make money. That pulls away from your audience. People are going to go away. And then what? You know, like at what point do you it's you for this bag that you're chasing the whole time?
Yeah. And I think that might have been her point. I hope she's been answered. Guys, if you all have any questions, I think now's the perfect time. We kind of wrapping up our conversation. So some questions or statements that we can kind of add to our conversation, that would be great. We're trying to drive the most value. It isn't necessarily just a personal conversation. So I see there's actually a conversation that's going on here. So Nicolette says, can we ask influencers to stop regurgitating what is already known? We need people to research what they talk about or tell us. This is an opinion post. Or to tell us that this is an opinion post. Have some call to action. What do you think about that? Like having to, What do you think of that, actually?
Look, it's difficult to tell influencers what they can and what they can't do. Sometimes you get a brief and it says, you're marketing a bottle of water. You can only say that this water comes from this tree with a white lid. If there's nothing else they're allowed to say, there's not much they can do. There are times where you're strict within, not deadlines, but guidelines that you've only got 4 things to talk about. Find a way to do it. So sometimes it's one of those things, and as much as an influencer, you can say like, look, this isn't going to get far, but if brand wants what they want, then that's all you can say. But at the end, you can say, look, this is why it didn't work. I suggest we do this. We're always open to seeing how things could work on a different level. If you're picking up that an influencer is regurgitating information, challenge them in a polite way. Don't be a troll and say, we've seen this before. Just ask a question that you didn't know. For instance, say, oh, I didn't know that we had natural springs in Germiston. Where is that access? Do we have access to that, or is it just special things? Then that's a question that someone can screen grab and say, listen, client, someone's asking me something I'm not sure. What can I say? Then already you've got an answer. So it looks like the influencer knows more about the brand. But brand also is like, oh, okay, they actually want to know more about my water than just the bottle. So it becomes that thing. And I love what the guys are saying there. It's research. You have to do your research, but sometimes you can't just put out information without the clarity of the person who's paying you. Because then, there's a reason why there's a certain message being sent out in April as opposed to the message that's going to be sent out in May. There's strategies in everything. You can't just go buck wild because sometimes it messes with what's actually the tonality of things.
Yeah. So I guess it's also just understanding your brief really well, right? It could be that. I mean, we have a process in branding called discovery, where we actually try and find out, even if a brand, has done their specific research and have put together a brief, we like to have our own questions to ask things that we don't understand, so we know exactly what we're doing and we can deliver on the value that we're supposed to be able to deliver on. So I don't know if that is kind of in what you guys were asking in terms of like do research before actually committing to a project. I hope that answers.
But yeah, I get you. I think, yeah, like sometimes influencers do get lazy. They just want to get. I mean, there are some influencers get paid good money and they're just like, write the content for me and give me the picture, I'll post it. That sucks. But yes, you need to be doing research. You're an advocate for the brand for that time. You're an advocate for this company or whatever the case is, whatever that you're promoting at the time, you're becoming that referral, and you need to be as
Yeah.
authentic as possible.
Exactly. And funny enough, I was listening to another live and they was talking about being authentic in this time. And I think personally, if your brand is authentic and it's in alignment with what another brand is trying to promote, it comes off as natural as opposed to, if your brand was not aligned with a specific brand and you just took the work anyway. So
Yeah.
or authenticity, however you say that word, kind of gives you bearings in terms of like where you should go or where you shouldn't go, what feels good for you, what doesn't feel good for you. Nicolette is in the finance industry, right? And if she were to do something in cooking, for example, it's not within her brand. She might be able to spin it, but most of her audience wouldn't gravitate towards that content. I'm speaking out of what I've seen or what I've heard. I know, for example, a lot of financial brands have been off-brand lately. They've been doing a lot of weird influencer content. People are turning up in their videos. I think it was Old Mutual and another brand. I just can't remember. I think it was Capitec. Capitec is doing a fitness boot camp thing. I don't know how real these things are. They could be fake news, but I saw images and I was really not impressed, for brands that are supposed to be authentic and have the right kind of marketing teams. It doesn't
Yeah.
seem, aligned for them to do something like this. So, I mean,
Yeah.
those are things to watch out for as a brand, whether you're building one or you're just an influencer. Don't do things that are out of your scope unless you have, built your audience to kind of understand that those are also things that you partake in. You know what I mean? And I think that's important, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Completely. Completely true.
Yeah. Okay. We have another question from Miss Mkoli again. It's post-COVID. What are some of your predictions with LSM, AVS, LSMC, communications in the digital space? Yeah, that's some marketing lingo right there.
Well, I think what's really going to help us is the trend reports that are coming out. We need
Yeah.
to, I think that one thing that we do is we assume people are doing more of something because they're at home. We assume people are watching more TV, but people have Netflix now. People still double screen. I mean, TV can be playing, like for instance at home, the TV can be playing, but we're all glued onto our own things. Even though it's playing, we just
Mm,
head up for that interesting part and then head down again. So I think I'd love to do some market research on it, like proper surveys that go out and find out the behaviors of the different LSMAs and the LSMBs and the LSMC groups and actually see what changed. Because marketing is a lot how things have moved and the trends and stuff like that. But sometimes it's not that case. How many households don't even have TVs? You'd assume that people are wealthy and they think, oh, they're probably gonna have TV in every room. I mean, there's some close friends are just like, I haven't had a TV in 6 years. So I'm just like, what do you
mm,
do? What do you watch when you're watching Generations? You know what I mean? Like I just
yeah.
it's those behaviors that we need to like be tapping into the not
Mm,
so norm. Predictions post COVID, I'd be lying to you. I really don't know, but it would be really interesting to see how the things are shifting. How
mm.
the things are shifting. Yeah.
Yeah, awesome. I think in this time especially, it's not a time to act like because that could easily bite you in the ass. It's time to actually take this step by step with your audience or with your people or your community, as opposed to trying to be too smart and predict what's happening. Because, especially if you're an influencer, people believe in what you say because you have this voice and this platform. And now if what you said and people had, for example, you're in the finance industry and you tell people, dude, invest your money in this and that, and people invest their money in this and that and it doesn't work out, you lose credibility and you take a big blow to your brand. So I think it's important to tell people, look, we don't know what's going on. We're all trying to really figure this out. But as far as I can see, this is what I think is a wise move. So I think those are things to keep in mind when it comes to your voice and how you strategically, market or looking into post-COVID, because really, who knows? We're not God, so there's that, right?
Yeah, yeah.
All right. Question for. All right, hold up. Let me see if there's any question. Well, all right. We have a question for our viewers. Have you managed to adapt your business strategy to keep ahead of your competitors? That comes from Likeminds Tribe. And just a quick shout out to everybody who has been watching. Thanks for participating in our conversation, and also follow Likeminds Tribe. Our website is also up now for Likeminds Tribe. Whoop whoop. Took a lot of sleepless nights. We're actually going to have, it's going to be very layered. We have like 4 or 5 platforms that we're building that are actually going to help the ecosystem. So we have things like podcasts, we have things like the master classes, the sessions, we have things like skills development courses coming up. So it's going to really be quite cool. So that's what I have to say. Also, guys, follow Miss Manjo if you're not already. Shout out to everybody. Shout out to Nicolette for that shout out. And yeah, any last pointers you have on the stuff that you've been able to jot down prior to the conversation?
Yeah, so going back to basics, this is time to reflect on your business. If you've been thinking of that side hustle, think a lot more and put it on paper. I feel the more you put things on paper, the more real it becomes. Start looking at where you were 5, 6, 7, 12 months from now and to now. What went right? What went wrong? How am I fixing this? Let's look at our finances. Did I spend more than I got into my business? What was the reason for that? How do I change that after this COVID situation? Stay present, stay around, talk to your followers, create more content. If you really can't create more content, like you were saying in the video, guys, how are you going to change up what you've been doing? Teach and be teachable. If you know how to do a certain thing a different way and you're just seeing how the world is just doing it wrong, teach. So Nicolette, I was just thinking of the thing that you said earlier, where you were saying if Nicolette is doing a cooking show, it doesn't have to be like, oh my gosh, look, I'm pouring butter. It can be, oh look, I'm cooking dinner now. But I was thinking of, when Sasol was a big talk and the oil price went down and people are trying to buy shares. What does that mean? She's cooking, she's doing her whole thing, but she's having a financial talk. So think of these different things and just engaging your audience. Yes. And just pivot yourself, like learn about you at this time. What do you want to be? How do you want to be different after this? And learn about your business. How do you want your business to be different? What does growth look like? You need to be able to say, oh, this is fantastic. I did 5,000 sales, but growth looks like a store now. How am I working towards a store? Am I learning what it means to open up a store? Am I learning about rent? Am I learning about personnel that's going to man the store? Do I need to do that? So it's a lot of learning during this time. You need to just be taking time and work your days out. I mean, we're having so many days that we're spending watching series, talking nonsense and stuff like that. Maybe have marketing Mondays or, I don't know, trending Tuesdays. Have a theme for yourself that you can follow that's not too heavy. But if you're going to commit to something, commit to it, because your audience will see that you're doing something different. Like, wait, they're actually posting tips on Mondays now. I'm quite interested in what Tuesday looks like, what Wednesday looks like. So get excited about your business like you were the first time you started it. Register your business, register your name. Do the things that you haven't had the time to do. Or if you didn't know how to do it, now's the time to ask. Ask someone who has done it. How do I do it? I'm stuck. Who do I go to? What do I email? What do I say in an email? Ask the question. What's the worst that could happen?
Yeah.
So that's
your wrap up. Okay, awesome. I have a quick point. I was also thinking about this while you were speaking. I think for anyone who's putting out content, right? Anyone who's doing anything, it's the journey to 50 years starts in the first year. So when it comes to content, a lot of people worry about the numbers, like how well did I do on the first video? And it's really just all, I mean, if I did my first live and worried about the first numbers, I wouldn't have been doing a live today. So it's all about the consistency, which you are right about. So if you're doing 5 viewers today, continue doing it until you've got 40, 50, especially if you're doing something right and it has sense. Eventually, the people that enjoy your content or enjoy your thinking or you as a person will gravitate to whatever it is that you're doing. So, yeah, just stay your lane, stay consistent. And I think that's my thing, especially for whether you're building influence, building your brand, and that sort of thing. So that would really be my signing out point. And yeah.
Something that Tanya has written here, I thought that was really interesting. She says, I've been sending proposals to all my potential clients. For those who didn't have the time to learn about me, now they do. That is fantastic. That is fantastic.
Yeah.
If you're going to be headhunting for business, now's the time to research the type of business you want to be in business with. Start crafting your emails, start crafting your business proposals. Like I was saying, learn how to do a PowerPoint presentation. It doesn't have to be 55 slides. It can be 5 powerful slides. Who are you? What do you do? How do I get in touch with you? And people want to know more. I think this is an awesome time to start getting to know who you want to speak, who you want to work with, and just what does it look like after this? What does success for you look like after this? It's working with Matthew, because I sent him an email. Now I can follow up and say, dude, here's the email. I've been telling you that I'm trying to produce something like this. I've done it now. Let's have a chat. It's the small things, but that's excellent.
Yeah. That really is right. You see, this doesn't end. Now I also have another point. So another point also when in this journey is whatever it is that you do, right? Keep breaking it down into smaller pieces and bites for your clients and your audience. Make it something that's understandable so that you can explain to an 8-year-old or 5-year-old. I think that's very important, especially us in the digital space. We like being very complicated with these fancy names, digital analyst, whatever. So exactly, and then nobody understands what you do. Break it down into bite sizes. Always make sure that your client understands what you do for them or what value they can take out of it, and that's how they instill, or that's how they value your work. Or when you come with a price, they can see, you know what I mean, it's justified, as opposed to saying you're a digital analyst and I don't know what you do and I'm not going to pay for some fancy name. I actually want to pay for someone that will create a value for my business. So that would be my signing out point. And that's all we have for today, guys. Thanks for tuning in. Follow us on all our social medias to get alerts on this type of content at Likeminds Tribe. Visit our website to sign up to be part of our community. It's www.likemindstribe.co.za. And that's all from me, your host, Matthew Rolls, signing out.